Welcome to a new episode of the Excel Magazine podcast. My name is Diana Olenik, your host, and today we're going to be speaking about PIXO VR, which is a training company in VR. So, for PIXO VR, they really feel proud to say that technology is created for people by people according to their team. They don't believe in technology for technology's sake, which is something that I totally agree. They believe that technology should serve real people and solve real problems. This is super important for all the creators out there that are coming up with ideas that maybe haven't responding actually to a real problem. They say that they define their success by the value that they create. And actually, their team is an award winning VR group of engineers, developers, and training experts who are dedicated to questioning assumptions, breaking down barriers, and creating new realities of human potential. So today, I'm very proud to be speaking with Sean Hurwitz, who is a serial entrepreneur with decades of experience building businesses through the smart use of technology and assembly of elite teams. Sean founded PIXO VR in 2009 based on his belief in the power of technology to unlock people's potential. With PIXO VR, he has been helping companies transform their training programs through VR technology. Shane applies his belief to not only help customers grow, but his company and himself as well. I can't wait to begin this amazing episode. Let's do it. Thank you so much, Sean, for being here today. I'm actually super excited. Please let us know, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. I'm excited too. It's always great to speak to other industry experts.
Thank you. So today we're going to be speaking about how Sean and his team have been around developing these solutions to unlock people's potential through employee training and all of these immersive things through PIXO VR. So please let us know, Sean, how PIXO VR was born.
Well, we started several years ago, actually, right before extended reality or AR and VR actually started getting commercial traction. We found that we were able to develop immersive environments and distribute those. So being built in, Unreal or Unity game engines, and deploy those for helping other large companies train or do mundane tasks that at the time they called gamification. So we started doing that, almost 13 years ago now, but we were deploying them on 2D screens, even though they were 3D immersive environments. So you can imagine how excited we were when we put on that first, Oculus Rift, which I think was like 2014 or 15, when we were able to fully immerse in these experiences, which for us at the time was easy to find the return on the investment, because by immersing someone and replicating real life, we immediately knew that you could reduce risk and reduce cost, primarily in training, but doing a lot of enterprise type tasks.
Yeah, that's amazing. We've seen, because I come from the background of engineering, and engineering is closely related with safety and occupational health and all of this. We've seen many applications of this type of technology onto helping people like enter in a simulation and perform different tasks that otherwise, even during training, could be dangerous, right? So how it has been for you approaching the companies and teaching them? It has been difficult. How has been all the process? Because this is a new technology.
Yeah. Well, I could say it's not easy, but it's a lot easier today than it was in 2015 and 2016. Thanks to Meta and the standalone headsets and the other, hardware manufacturers, virtual reality, augmented reality, thanks to Pokemon at one time, became more of a common known platform. When we started, no one knew what VR or AR was. So we had to educate a lot. When you look at where we are today, and I look at my parents to say, if my parents know, most people would know. So what we're finding today is, these large companies, maybe their kids have a Meta Quest or a PlayStation VR, or they have something. So the education side of what virtual and augmented reality is a little bit easier. How we find ROI, or return on the investment, or how they're actually going to use it, or how they're going to blend it with their current, learning and development and training, is still an education process. So I would say, in summary, it's a little bit better and easier than it was today, but there's still challenges in educating our audience.
Yeah, for sure. It takes time. It's a process that it actually takes many years, so it becomes more accessible for people, common, consumers. And at the point that the companies, of course, realize we really need to be using this because it really enhances the processes, it saves the money, etc., all the benefits. So what has been some of the most challenging cases that you've had, to design or build for companies? And what have been all of those big learnings, if you'd like to share some?
Well, I think in order, when we look at and we work with exclusively in the enterprise commercial space, we work with some of the largest companies in the world. And some of the challenges has been getting them not to immediately understand where they could see value, or the return on the investment to switch to a new platform like XR. But it's getting them through a proof of concept or through a pilot stage to where they actually find success. Because we want them to start, but we want them to grow. So, a company that has 40,000 employees are typically going to start with a program of 50 or 150 employees to test and try to see if they can find success, and what success is, and what problems are we solving. Typically, like I said, it's reducing risk is always on the top of mind for most of our customers, but also reducing cost. So they're not willing to say, hey, let's buy 40,000 headsets and give them to every employee. We take them through a pilot phase, a proof of concept phase, where it's important for our customer success team to work with that customer. So the challenges that we see across the market is getting large companies out of that pilot phase and into full, integration.
Yeah, that's an important consideration when it comes to trying to replicate these real world circumstances and then bringing them. Of course, there is considerations of the impact for the employees and all the return on investment, etc. That is, of course, a challenge. And do you have any examples of a particular case that, in terms of technicalities, was difficult to build? For example, recreating the safety training for firefighters or something like that, like a particular case that you like to showcase, and how it was the workflow and the challenges for building that particular one?
Yeah, I think one of the challenges that most enterprise VR companies are faced with is, custom development, or development, of a training module like the ones that we have that are pretty generic and universal across multiple industries, a ladder safety, or a confined space, or an electrical safety, or fire extinguisher. One of the technical challenges is not having to customize the module every time for every customer. And, so we use pretty generic environments. Like, we have a hazard recognition training module where it's in a generic warehouse. So when we try to promote and license that to a customer, a lot of times they want it in their own environment. And so, having them accept the more universal environment, so you're not building out and modeling a new 3D environment, which is obviously a lot more expensive, takes a lot more time, is sometimes a challenge. One of the probably one of the top technical challenges that we faced on the content development side is the time that it takes to develop a module. So if we engage with a customer, say like Ford, we've done some technical training on some of their engines and some of their electric vehicles. Well, having it take 3 to 5 months to build content, to then have them start that license or start the training, is a long time. When you think of building a website, Maybe in the 90s, it took 3 to 5 months, but today it could take 3 to 5 hours. And so I think technically we as an industry, whether, using low code or no code solutions, we have to develop content faster. And then, there's probably several other challenges like the different devices and the different headsets. It's like when we started, there was iOS and Android, Apple and Android, and we were only developing for Apple because there was no Android. Then Android came out thereafter, signing on 500,000 phones, smartphones a day. Then we had to also start deploying on Android. So when you think of today, you have different devices. You have even, several different VR devices, and the content needs to be available on all of those devices because customers are buying, from different manufacturers.
Yeah, definitely. I think that we are in this trend where we are learning from what are the new, as you mentioned, devices coming and how can we adjust those to the type of experiences that we can make. But I also see that in order for platforms to grow, they are using what is called user-generated content, which is maybe when you mention we need more content. And this just makes a benefit for all the other developers and creators that are there. I think that from the point of view of a company, like the strategy of a company, that's why these companies are also using this type of models, because it makes sense. Instead of you having in-house all of these developers creating this, why not we bring people that is creating already this, and there is a win and win, situation.
Yeah.
So
I think for sure that, on our platform, we mostly now have third-party content. So content, created by third-party developers. When we started, of course, we only had our own. That is definitely a challenge that we can solve when you talk about the quantity of content. But when a large customer like a Ford or a Chick-fil-A is looking for content of their own, more custom content, having a low code or no code solution, which is user generated, they would be developing their own content. We strongly believe that one day the customers will build their own content as well and hire developers inside, the company.
That's absolutely the conversations that I've had recently. When I deliver speeches, etc., about career and the future of this, I say companies more and more in the future are gonna start having their own in-house teams in order to create their own customized experiences in the way that they want. So therefore, there are gonna be more jobs available for XR developers, exactly as in companies right now. Sometimes they have an IT person taking care of the website sometimes, or their systems, internal systems. It's going to be similar. So absolutely, I also believe that.
Yeah, we have a scenario with a very large enterprise training company, that part of our relationship with them and our engagement with them is to help onboard and train developers as they hire them, which for us is fine, because our most valuable proposition is the platform to manage and distribute and track the content, not necessarily develop the content. And so if our customers were developing their own content, that would be really good for us and the industry to grow.
Yes, absolutely. I think that more companies should rethink their strategy as well, to allow for more holistic ways to engage other people that can have those talents. I think that just makes good for the whole industry, as you mentioned. And so you create solutions for enterprise in terms of the potential employee training, etc., and also the training services. Do you have as well?
You mean training for other developers, or just training in general?
Training in general.
No. So we're a software company. We're not a training company. And this is a very good point, I think, and a good question, because, 5 or 6 years ago, I listened to a panel where someone from Google Ventures was on the panel, and he said, until VR and AR companies understand training, and they're not just gaming or a software company, that, the industry will still lag and be slow. So, we have a designer. I think instructional design, you talk about jobs. I think there's great opportunity for instructional designers to learn VR. Right now, it's a little bit of a unicorn. You're either a VR designer or developer, or you're instructional designer. That sort of integration of those two skill sets is widely sought after even today, never mind the future. So we rely on our customers and third-party instructional designers to help us design. It's not so easy to take Ford replacing a timing belt on an engine and having game developers essentially build that in VR, because there's a big part of the learning objective. So while we don't have that skill inside the company, I think it's absolutely required for any training module.
Yes, that's amazing. Thank you so much. And you as well perform some sort of integration sometimes with companies, I believe. What type of integrations do you do?
Well, we integrate or curate, third-party content, as I mentioned. We have integration with learning management systems. So whatever a system, like through a single sign-on process, or the ability for a large company to track the data and not use our platform as a completely separate platform or place that they have to either assign or capture the data. So we integrate with learning management systems to make it easier for our customers.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And then, of course, something like an MDM, we integrate with. So the way that we built our platform with APIs to be able to integrate into any third-party system.
Yes, that's great, because there is that capability there for enterprise. They would be looking for something like this. And from your own perspective, because you're in the industry, what do you see, like, if the industry evolving towards with? What is your, your perspective about the industry?
On the enterprise side, I believe that every business will have a VR headset. As Mark Zuckerberg said years ago, VR, XR will be the new computing platform. We believe that. We've believed it now for 7 years and stuck with it to continue, to see that vision out. And if that's true, because I believe there's return on ROI for every company to use one. So the easier it becomes and the more the industry collaborates together. I think that's important as well. That we're not all independent, disparate, solutions, that somehow we collaborate, we come together to provide the best solution for the customer. And I think when that happens, getting headsets are going to be easier and cheaper. If the market continues to see a downturn, which is what the media certainly is saying, XR saves time. It saves money. So this is, I think, the next few years are going to be, our time.
Do you have any plan of your particular experiences that you build or trainings that you have already standard to also expand in other, like, mixed reality, augmented reality, or what's your plan?
Yeah, I mean, I hesitate to use the M word, the metaverse.
Yes.
The way that we see that is creating a digital twin, of an environment, either custom, similar like a Chick-fil-A or the Olympics. We did some training for the Olympic Games in Tokyo, and now we're looking ahead to Paris in 2024, is to create that digital twin or that environment, that 3D environment, for them to be able to do all of their training or planning. So AR, VR, MR, whatever, 360 video, whatever it is, in this one comprehensive environment to be able to do everything. So we don't look at the metaverse as this weird, big, unimaginable thing, which I think it is today. It would be their own metaverse, their own digital twin of their own environment to be able to access any kind of, extended reality solution.
That's super, super exciting. Thank you so much for that. And especially thank you for sharing that particular approach that you have from business, the industry, the holistic approach with enriching and contributing to the community and the industry from the point of view of allowing other creators to actually co-create with you and
Sure.
to help together. So I think that this is a beautiful example. I'm gonna be making a little bit more videos explaining your particular approach because it's so inspiring and I really love it. More companies should learn from this approach, and companies sometimes have been realizing about the benefits of user-generated content, but I think that you take it even one step further with helping also the creators. Thank you so much for sharing so much experience, insight, and yeah, so excited to get to know about you and PIXO VR today with you, Sean. Is
Thank you.
there anything else that you wish I had asked you today?
Well, we could probably spend the rest of the day talking about it. No, I think you covered quite a bit, and I also like the idea of that collaboration and curating together as an industry.
Yeah, thank you so much.
My
And
pleasure.
please consider subscribing, of course, following Sean and all the news that are happening right now with PIXO VR and sharing the message because this is very worthwhile. Thank you so much and see you in the next episode. Bye for now.